The fire took it all. Their homes and everything inside.
Everything from my son's birth, all his photos, all his scan pictures, all his completely gone. And just standing out there watching this fire creep along your house and going, it's going to get mine any minute, it's going to get mine any minute, is really daunting. It's a horrible place to be.
A year on, the building is gone, but memories of fire remain.
When I came out of the door, I remember looking up, and above the flat building, I just saw this horrendous orange flame, and it was towards the corner of the building, but going up onto the roof, and I was like, that's not a little fire. But by the time I went round the corner of Richmond House, I actually saw it was going over the roof, and I could just hear popping of what I assume was the boilers, and just see the whole building ablaze within minutes.
This was Jess Davies' home before the fire, and this is how it looked after.
Lives have definitely changed beyond all recognition for me and all the other residents of Richmond House. You know, we're all in temporary accommodation. Some of us, like me, are with my parents, with my own little child.
ITV News has seen a report into the Richmond House fire, and there's little surprise why it went up in flames so quickly. It was built with little regard to basic fire safety.
A forensic analysis of the site was conducted by chartered architects and surveyors. Its conclusions have never been made public until now.
The report talks about cavity barriers. It's a fire-stopping material fitted between floors and walls. At Worcester Park, inspectors found cavity barriers that were defective. But it gets worse. In some parts of the building, they weren't fitted at all.
This report is frankly a shock, because it's the most basic of fire safety requirements, cavity barriers. These stop the flows of fire and hot gases. They weren't there, they were missing. So the fire could spread incredibly fast, and this basic requirement wasn't met. This property was built in 2011, so it's surprising, actually it's shocking that it isn't there.
Paul Ridge is a lawyer with a specialism in residential fires. He represents more than 200 bereaved and survivors from Grenfell, as well as the Worcester Park residents.
The builders are the real villains here. They built, they knew, they hid. Because they know the requirements, they know the importance, and yet what we're seeing from this report is they can cover over, they can hide the defects, which only become exposed in the most serious of circumstances. It's not something like a leaking window. This is fire. Lives, children are at risk.
How does it make you feel that it was built with such little regard to fire safety?
I'm just so angry, to be honest, because we buy these homes in good faith. You know, they're sold to key workers in the area, so we buy them thinking, yep, this is a good place. It's horrendous. I mean, that you're putting people's lives at risk for what, cutting a few corners to save a few pennies.
Berkeley Homes, who built Richmond House, said it once again extends its sincere sympathies to everyone affected by this terrible fire, adding that planning consent has just been given for a replacement building.
Do you fear of what could have happened to your family, your son?
That's what knocks you for six, because you actually think that could have been so much worse, but actually you're standing there in the middle of the night in your nightdress going, I'm about to lose everything at this moment. I'm losing everything. It's all gone. But we actually came out with our lives. But it could have been a very different story.
Rags, of course, you've been following the Grenfell inquiry. Seems to be a few similarities here.
That's right. What we see at the inquiry almost every day now is a building where there was no regard for fire safety, and it's the same at Worcester Park. But these are really big players in the building industry. At Grenfell, it's Ryden. At Worcester Park, it's Berkeley Homes. And there's an estimated 600,000 people currently living in unsafe homes in the UK. And people say Worcester Park residents were lucky, but, you know, they watched their homes and everything they own burn down in 9 minutes. And it's just a representation of a systematic failing in the building industry where builders make millions in profits, but people's lives are at risk.
All right, Rags, thank you.